I've done a couple of these kind of videos before where I talk about something like the rocket launcher versus the original, reskins versus the original versions of those weapons, and I really enjoyed making them. So today I want to talk about the Force of Nature and the Soda Popper. Kind of a weird one because I haven't compared the scattergun to anything yet, but I think that video will come eventually when, I have a little bit more time. It's been a long week. Now, these are both scatterguns that I haven't used too much, but I've been using again recently, and I've been really enjoying them, so, I wanted to talk about them. Also, if you're new around here and you're going to enjoy the video, I'd really appreciate it if you clicked the subscribe button. We're super close to 110k, so if you subscribe, it would mean a lot. So let's start talking about these two weapons, the Force of Nature versus the Soda Popper. Now, even though we're pitting these two against each other, I want to start with things that are fairly similar about the two of them. The main thing is that they only actually have 2 shells loaded into their clip instead of the scattergun's regular 6 shots. And if you only shoot 1 bullet and reload it in both of those guns, you lose the other bullet that you would have had. Also, both of these weapons deal very similar damage, and it's actually pretty good compared to the regular scattergun, in some cases even higher than the regular scattergun. But the fact that they only actually have 2 shells loaded is a con that you can put on both sides, and the pretty good damage is a pro you can put on both sides. So that will make explaining it a lot easier now, rather than doing it later while talking about them individually. However, they both have certain features that make it so the 2 bullets that they have isn't actually that big of a drawback, and they are still really, really powerful, even with a smaller clip size. So I think let's start with the Force of Nature. Now, some of the plus sides of using this weapon is the faster firing speed, so you can get your shots off much quicker than you could if you were using the regular scattergun. Not only that, but the Force of Nature actually has extra pellets per shot, which means that at the top ranges of the damage numbers, you'll actually be dealing a bit more damage than you would be if you were just using the stock scattergun. And the final feature of the Force of Nature is the knockback, which I've actually put in the pros and the cons sections of this list, mainly because, alright, hear me out. It can end up screwing you over because you push people away out of point blank range, and then your bullets end up doing less damage. This happens to me quite a lot. I hit one big meat shot for like 100 damage or something like that, but then my second bullet doesn't really hit that well because they've flown away, and a lot of the time I miss out on the kill, and it's way easier for the enemy to escape just because I'm using a gun that has knockback on it, and yeah, I just make it easy for them. So that's why it could be a pro, because if you are overwhelmed, then that knockback can give you a little bit of space between your enemy and stuff like that, but it's a con because of the chance that you can miss out on kills, but yeah, it's whatever. It depends on what map you're playing, really. I'm not going to go crazy in depth with either of these weapons because I've made a Scouts Pouch series where I've talked about every single scout weapon in a bit more detail than you'll see in videos like this one. So if you want to go ahead and watch that, then I think there's a playlist on my channel somewhere. Comparing the Force of Nature to the Soda Popper though, you'll notice that the Soda Popper has the added bonus of a quicker reload time. So the 2 bullets that it has will get reloaded faster than they would have done in the Force of Nature. Also, the Soda Popper has the faster firing rate as well, but it's not as fast as the Force of Nature, so you won't be able to get the bullets out as quick as that gun can. Not that it's like too different, but the Force of Nature is 50% faster, Soda Popper is only 25% faster. It's still faster, but not quite as fast. I said that word a lot. And the main feature of the Soda Popper is the hype mechanic and all of the extra jumps that you get from using it. The Force of Nature doesn't have this, but then again, the Soda Popper doesn't have the knockback. So basically, you deal a bunch of damage, the hype bar fills up, you activate it, and all of a sudden, you can jump 1,000,000 times. Maybe not 1,000,000, that's a bit of an over-exaggeration, but you can jump quite a lot more than you would be normally doing. More than most maps would need to be honest. I have found it very useful recently, though, to use all of those jumps to kind of just jump around your enemy a whole bunch, make them miss all their shots, disorientate them so they don't actually know where you are, and then it makes killing them a little bit easier. You drag it out a tiny bit because you are jumping around a lot, but you end up with the kill and you end up alive, so it's probably saving you time in the long run. Again, there's a Scouts Patch video on this one, so I'm not going to go too in depth, but you get the point. So, the Soda Popper has all of these extra jumps, and the Force of Nature has the knockback. They fire quicker than the stock weapon, and the Soda Popper reloads quicker than both of them. I think choosing a favorite really depends on what kind of player you are, and honestly what kind of perk of either of the guns you think is more useful. The knockback to some players is what really makes people want to use the Force of Nature, but for me, that's one of the reasons I actually preferred the Soda Popper. I tested both of them out for a little bit today, and I found that I thought the jumping was way more useful, especially for the maps that I play on. Using knockback on a map like Harvest is going to send people all the way across the map sometimes, and that really isn't helpful when I'm just trying to get a whole bunch of kills. The Soda Popper jumping around a lot on Harvest is perfect. I play a lot of King of the Hill, and I feel like those kind of maps benefit more from the Soda Popper, whereas if you played something like Control Point or Payload, the Force of Nature might actually be a better choice for you because there's tighter corridors. So then the jumps wouldn't be as effective, and the knockback wouldn't actually be that much of a detriment to you. Now, I was under the impression that the knockback on the Force of Nature was quite bad until I used it again today on certain maps that worked fairly well with the Force of Nature, and yeah, it just wasn't as bad as I thought it was, and it didn't hinder me too much. It just wasn't as good for me as the jumping ability of the Soda Popper, because I like jumping around a lot more than I do knocking enemies away from me. Now, you can do a little extra jump with the Force of Nature, which I didn't mention earlier. Now, that little jump can get you out of some sticky situations, or it can increase your mobility a little bit on certain maps that have areas that are just slightly too high for the scout to reach with his regular 2 jumps. It's just not my favorite thing about the gun, especially when you're comparing it to the Soda Popper, which is the point of this video. And the Soda Popper does jumping, and it does it way better than the Force of Nature does. So, yeah. Anyway, let me know in the comments which one you prefer. I think it would actually be interesting to see what people pick and kind of why you have picked that. If you also leave some of like your favorite maps, the maps you end up playing a lot, I think that will also help, get more answers as to which ones people prefer and why. I don't know, I think it would just be interesting. I'm a little bit of a loser when it comes to things like that. Also, while you're down there leaving that comment, I'd really appreciate it if you left this video a like and, also subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video. It would mean a lot. But anyway, that is going to do it for the video. Like I said before, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you all tomorrow with another one. I've given the golden pan back now, and it feels a little bit weird. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.